Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Well, welcome everybody to another Monday edition of Primetime Local News. You gotta see we have a little friend here that's gonna be with us for the rest of the week as he kind of goes off screen a little bit. That's Milo. He might be popping in and out throughout the show, but lots on the show today, including our question of the day, which is sparked a heated debate in our newsroom this morning. What is your favorite cereal?
Favorite cereal? See, I'm not a big cereal eater, but I think Honey Nut Cheerios is my go-to safe bet. Yeah, that's what I like. So.
I'm a mix of things. My dad provides me 6 boxes of Vector cereal every time I come home, and every time. That's why I have 3 boxes underneath my desk just to have, just in case.
There you go. Ready to go.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll have all this and more coming up later, but right now let's send it over to Brett Holden, who's on location.
Well, today we are outside the Fur Babies Forever home, new home, as they have just moved into this new unit here as they are getting prepared for their new isolation pods as well. They have some puppies in there, and we'll be talking to Karen about what those isolation pods do exactly and just the benefits and the importance that this house or home not only has for the company but as well for the puppies. So that will be coming up in this hour and tonight's show, but for now let's head back into the studio where Elise has a look at your local news.
Great, thank you, Brett. Well, a judge in Edmonton has ruled that a war crime sentence for former Guantanamo Bay prisoner Omar Khadr has expired. An 8-year sentence imposed in 2010 would have ended in October had Khadr remained in custody, but he was freed on bail in 2015. The judge ruled that the time Khadr spent in conditional release counts towards his sentence. That means now 17 years after his detainment, Khadr is completely a free man. And a new campaign office for the United Conservative Party candidate Garth Rosewell opened up in Vermilion. Rosewell is the candidate for the UCP for Vermilion, Lloydminster and Wainwright for the upcoming election. So far, the public reaction has been positive.
Well, my door-to-door, I've been knocking, during the day I've been knocking on business doors quite a bit because most people, they're not home, right? And the response has been very good. They want to get the election done, get it going. And I've run into people that aren't supporting me, but for the most part, I've run into people that are. And so I would say it'd be a pretty positive response.
Some key policies of the UCP is getting rid of the carbon tax and regulations.
Policy number 1 is get rid of the carbon tax. That's what we want to do. We want to reduce regulations by a third. And the way we're going to do that is consult with the different industries.
His office is located at 4911 50th Ave, Vermilion. And on Saturday, MLA Jens Peterson made a trip to Lloydminster to speak with local supporters. Peterson is an MLA in the Regina Northeast area and came to address some local concerns.
I'm here just to talk to this group of people here. It's an NDP meeting, and so I'm the guest speaker. I'm going to be talking to them, but I also want to hear what's going on out in Lloydminster.
One of the topics he touched on was the NDP's views towards the provincial budget.
We're very concerned that under the budget there's another $2 billion added to the provincial debt. We're now over $1 billion a year just in interest payments alone on our provincial debt. That's a huge problem for our province's financial situation.
Peterson is originally from the Cut Knife area. Gayla McMillan was the guest at Lloyd Rotary and spoke today about the Shiloh settlement, the only black settlement in Saskatchewan. The settlement near Maidstone was started in the early 1900s when people from Oklahoma moved north for a better opportunity. McMillan, who was from the area, had never heard of Shiloh growing up, hopes more people take the time to check it out.
Shiloh is actually open all the time. The door is not locked. It's a great place to go. It's a wonderful, serene, peaceful place to be. Not on the highway, nice area. It's very well, the grounds are very well kept, and it's just a beautiful place to see and an amazing part of our history.
People that want to know more about the area's history can also contact the Lloydminster Regional Archives.
The archives is open from Tuesday to Friday weekly, and you're absolutely welcome to come by and look at some pictures and visit with us, tell us something, learn something new, ask us something, or email us and ask a question. We deal over the internet quite a bit now, or go to our website, which is lloydminsterarchives.ca.
Saturday night was the RCMP Regimental Ball, and our Jasmine King attended the annual event.
The event hosted both RCMP members and the community for a night of food, drinks, and music, while also being for a good cause.
Tonight we are hosting the Lloydminster RCMP Regimental Ball in conjunction with Midwest Victim Services. So we're at the Stockade Center celebrating with the community, our RCMP members, and raising funds for our victim services within our community that also services Onion Lake, Turtleford, and Maidstone.
Midwest Victim Services are housed in many different RCMP detachments around the Lloydminster area, providing support and crisis intervention for those in need. And this event provides a lot of support for them.
I think that most nonprofits struggle as we do to maintain the workloads and keep things flowing. We do get grants from both Saskatchewan and Alberta provincial governments, victims of crime funds, but of course, you know, there's always, we're expanding. We have to expand in order to keep up with the increased referrals we're experiencing. So events like tonight are very important for us to help keep us afloat.
This event is one way for both the RCMP and people of Lloydminster to connect and help benefit a local cause.
That everybody in the community can interact with the RCMP outside of the work setting. We have probably about 60 members here tonight, and we're just going to enjoy the evening with our community that we work for.
The ball also featured a live auction with items donated by the community to help raise more money for victim services. Jasmine King, Primetime Local News.
And Cold Lake has a new home for its cheerleaders. It was announced on Sunday that the Cheer Force Jets are moving from the Lakeland Gymnastics Center to a new home in July. Justin Marshall caught up with a young cheerleader at the end of the performance.
Thanks, guys. I'm pleased to be joined by 10-year-old Isabella Shea. She's from the Hornets here at Cheer Cold Lake. And how's your season been going, because it's wrapping up today?
It's been going really good. We have been to many different competitions all across Alberta and Saskatchewan.
Where are some of those competitions that you've been at?
Battle at the Border in Lloydminster, Cold Snap in Edmonton, Red Deer Cheer Challenge in Red Deer, and Cheer Classic in Warman.
And how'd you do in those?
The first competition we won first, the second we won fourth, the third we won second, the last one we have won first.
And Isabella, why do you love cheer so much?
Because I think it's really fun and there's a lot of great opportunities. Like you can get a bunch of different skills and your teammates are really supportive.
And you were saying there's about 12 on your team, the Hornets?
Yes.
And what do you guys do, because you practice about twice a week, Thursdays and Sundays?
We went over our routine a couple of times. We took water breaks. We also played a few games during practice.
Awesome. Well, if you want to join Cold Lake Cheer, you can visit their Facebook page, facebook.com/Cold Lake Cheer for Primetime Local News. I'm Justin Marshall.
The Pioneer Lodge has been a staple in senior living here in Lloydminster, and in this week's retrospect, I take a look at the improvements and changes the facility has made over the last decade.
We actually had applied for this grant back in the fall. We hadn't heard for a few months. We were assuming that was a negative thing.
But instead, it was a happy ending for officials at the Pioneer Lodge, as the Alberta government unveiled more than $2 million in new funding for the facility.
It may mean an expansion of 15 rooms, and certainly an expansion of 14 present rooms to a more livable space for our seniors.
This would mark the first expansion since 1996, but despite the addition of the new Points West facility to the community, flexibility has remained a concern.
We're hoping that 15 rooms will be what is required so that we'll always have the ability to take someone in need. We haven't had that in the past, and it's a luxury that this area really does need.
With the funding they were given, Pioneer Lodge was able to expand and provide more space for future residents.
With that money, we were able to add one whole wing onto Pioneer. With the addition of that wing, we went from having 8 couples rooms to having 12 couples rooms.
On top of the couple rooms, they were also able to expand another wing and turn rooms that were 133 square feet into spaces that are now 350 square feet. Residences living at Pioneer Lodge are happy with the space and care.
We don't have to do anything if we don't want to. We can just be here.
Yeah, there's no snow to shovel on the sidewalks or anything to worry about like that anyway.
And asked if they would like to see anything added to the facility.
No, maybe a swimming pool or something like that. That's getting a little luxurious maybe, but no, all our needs are pretty well met here.
That's it for this week's Retrospect.
Retrospect is brought to you by Webb's Machinery. Webb's Machinery, your New Holland dealer in Vermilion, Vegreville, and Lamont.
And now we're going to go to Brett Holden, who is on location today.
Well, we are here at the Fur Babies' new home, and Karen joins us. One of the, well, I guess, kind of pound mamas here.
Okay,
one way to put it.
I'll accept that.
So let's talk about how everything kind of came together for the new home here, and what it's been like since you guys have moved in.
Oh, my Lord. We finally found this place, and we were able to lease it, and we started on the 1st of March, and we haven't looked back. That weekend we were setting up, and then we were out on rescue missions, plus Saturday was 2 rescue missions, and on Sunday we had a rehome. That was 8 puppies were surrendered to us, so we went to North Battleford and met the owners of them and brought them home.
That's awesome. So when it comes to bringing them home now, we'll go more a little bit later on to those the homes now for them. But let's talk about just what it's been like being now here and settled in, and I guess now the stability of having a home.
I don't have words to explain that. It's we were only working with 1 isolation unit, and now we have 3 and 2 little ones that are only temporary. So we can bring more dogs in. We can rescue more dogs. We can save more dogs. And it's fun, but a lot of work.
Absolutely. We'll have a little bit more coming up from here at Fur Babies' new home. But for now, let's head back into the studio.
All right, thanks very much, Brett. Take a look at your temperature right now. 4 degrees with mostly cloud coverage, as we did have a fairly cloudy day. We may have another cloudy day on our hands tomorrow, which will show later on our 7-day forecast, given the amount of precipitations that could be coming in the next few bit here. Take a look at some wind records for this time of year. 8 degrees back in 1999 and minus 22 back in 1996. So take a look at the satellite radar map. Bit of cloud coverage / precipitation that is happening right now over the little bit here. And as we'll see later on, there could be some precipitation coming our way tomorrow into tomorrow night. No watches or warnings to report for the Lloydminster and Lakeland areas. Current temperatures around other areas: 4 degrees out in Meadow Lake, 6 degrees for Cold Lake, 2 degrees in Athabasca, 3 in Edmonton, 9 in Edson, 8 in Whitecourt, 10 in Jasper, 5 for Rocky Mountain House, 2 degrees for Prince Albert, 1 degree for Melfort, 5 degrees for Saskatoon. As we take a look at more in-depth temperatures for our region, -2 overnight in North Battleford with a bit of cloud coverage. Tomorrow, 6 degrees with some cloudy skies and a bit of sunshine there. -2 overnight in Cold Lake, and then tomorrow in Cold Lake, daytime high of 8 degrees with a chance of some rain there, which is something that we haven't seen yet this year. -3 degrees for us in Lloydminster overnight, mostly cloudy skies, and tomorrow bit of sunshine and a few clouds at 3 degrees tomorrow for the daytime high. Take a look at the next 3 days rather. -2 to start off Wednesday morning and gets to 2 degrees on Wednesday, with -8 starting off Thursday morning, and then gets to the warm of 4 degrees with mostly sunny skies and a bit of cloud coverage. It is expected that we may get a chance of some flurry shower mix, but very low percentages. There are 25% chance of that happening, but we'll have more details coming up later on Primetime Local News. Right now, let's take a quick commercial break.
Welcome back. Well, cover crops have come on as producers seek to feed their cattle in a more sustainable manner. Gerard Lampo finds out that an industry group is on board to support the effort.
So cover crops are crops that are typically grown for a purpose other than to be harvested as a cash crop. So to improve the soil or provide other ecosystem benefits.
Gillian Baynard is a scientist working at the Swift Current Research and Development Center. She grew up on a farm in southern Alberta and did a PhD in botany. She says cover crops offer better soil nutrition, better weed control, nutrient cycling, and water retention.
The important thing that we're looking at in a forage setting is how that above ground plant material can then also be used as feed for cattle.
Research is ongoing into the types of crops that grow better on the prairies, as it tends to be regionally specific.
Producers are looking for mixes of cereals, so something like barley and oats, some legumes like peas or vetches or clovers, and then some brassicas, which include things like radishes and turnips.
With calving season on the go, cows need energy. Cover crops offer a good amount of biomass.
And you can also get nutritional values that are better than crops grown on their own when you have them in this mixture. So for example, including things like peas and radish, you actually can improve the digestibility and improve the crude protein content of your feed supply.
In conjunction with the Beef Cattle Research Council, Baynard is hosting a webinar on Tuesday, 26th March. Producers can log in by going to beefresearch.ca and clicking on the webinar link.
Reducing our reliance on inputs also results in a more economically sustainable practice and more cash in hand for the farmer.
Gerard Lampow, Primetime Local News.
That's your egg news. Sports is next, but first we'll take a look at your egg prices.
Every member of the City Centre Auto Body team has been through extensive training. We're constantly upgrading our team's education to reflect current collision repair technique.
Taking a look at your local sports now, Curtis Johnson has stepped down as head coach of the Lloydminster Bantam AAA Bobcats after being in charge of the program for 3 years. He cited spending more time with family and growing his business, Cujo Conditioning, as reasons for the decision. Johnson started with a 9-win team that was able to finish this season 21-6-6, eventually losing their second-round series to the top-ranked Fort Saskatchewan Rangers. The team also had several memorable tournament appearances and results, including an invite to the Alan Reid Memorial Tournament. Over his 3 seasons in Bantam AAA, Johnson leaves with a 42-47-16 record. And the Bonnyville Pontiacs held their annual awards banquet on Friday, coming 3 days after their elimination from the AJHL playoffs by the Spruce Grove Saints. Captain Grayson Constable was named the team's regular season MVP, scoring 54 points in 52 games.
A lot of guys that deserved it, and I'm super appreciative that I ended up winning it. It's none without the help of those 23 other guys out there, so I can't take all the credit for it.
Constable, who will play NCAA hockey next year for Holy Cross, says he'll miss being a member of the Pontiacs.
It doesn't really hit you until later on when you know that it's done. Like I said, it's one of the best times. Love every day of it with your buddies, and it's what I can say.
Other award winners from the evening included Colby Muse, Caden Krause, and Dane Dubois. The President's Trophy winner Lucas Throne for Best Team Representative in the community. And the Lloydminster PWM Steelers finished their season with a bronze medal at the Provincial Championship in St. Albert on Sunday. The Steelers were in a must-win situation the previous afternoon, but couldn't keep pace to the eventual champions, losing 4-1 against Red Deer in the bronze medal game. An earlier 2-goal lead held out for the game's duration en route to claiming the hardware. Jaden Morton was player of the game, scoring both Lloydminster goals. And now we're going to go to Brett Holden, who is on location today.
Well, we're back here at the Fur Babies' new home, and we're here around the isolation units, and Karen joins us once again to kind of tell us more on the isolation units and what happens after the rescue missions.
Well, once we bring them here, they're entered into this 5x12 run is what we call it, and they're there just what it means, isolation, so we can continue watching them for any health problems, anything unusual and out of the normal for pups. And then of course we get the fun part of cleaning up after them and make sure that they have fresh water and fresh food. But with all the puppy cuddles and loves and hugs that we get from it, it makes it so much worth it. It really does. You know, you guys, you can see the coveralls. We have to go in with coveralls, rubber boots, gloves, but it's worth it.
I can imagine it's a very tough job.
Not really.
So
if you enjoy your job, how can it be tough?
Exactly. So we were talking a little before we came on here on some of the dogs. So we'll expand a little bit more in the next hit from here. But let's talk about when they get in here, kind of the more kind of meat and potatoes on what they do in here.
Well, like I was saying, we have to put coveralls on, boots and gloves, disposable gloves. We go in and we do what we can, like clean up, and then we do our cuddling. Then when we leave, we also have to take all the protective clothing off so we can ensure that when we go to our next isolation unit, we don't bring anything, if there's anything, with us, and that way we can prevent cross-contamination.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have a little bit more coming up from here at Fur Baby's new home, and maybe we'll even get to see and profile one of the dogs here as well. So that'll be coming up in a little bit, but for now, let's head back into the studio.
All right, thanks very much, Brett. Take a look at some other current temperatures right now. 4 degrees for Lloydminster, Vermilion, and Marwayne. 3 degrees for Edmonton. 2 in Vegreville. 3 for St. Paul. 4 for Lac-La-Biche. 6 out in Cold Lake. 4 degrees in St. Walburg, Meadow Lake as well. Take a look at some other temperatures right now. 5 degrees in La Loche and Buffalo Narrows. 6 degrees in La Ronge. 2 degrees out in Flin Flon. 8 degrees for Fort Chipewyan. 5 degrees for Fort McMurray. 9s in Peace River, Grand Prairie, and Slave Lake. 11 degrees for High Level. Take a look at down south, 14 degrees for Lethbridge, 11 for Medicine Hat, 10 in Calgary, and 9 for Banff. Out in Saskatchewan, 3 degrees in Swift Current, 2 degrees in Moose Jaw, -1 in Regina right now. Take a look at tomorrow, 3 degrees for us is the daytime high. Tomorrow, 5 degrees for Marwayne, 7s in Lac-La-Biche, Bonnyville, Pierceland, 8 degrees for Cold Lake, 3 degrees for St. Paul. 5 degrees for Edmonton, 4 for Vegreville, 6 for Green Lake and Isle Cross, and 6 for North Battleford. Take a look at some snow accumulation over the next 24 hours or so. There is a decent amount that's expected, mostly in that southern part there of Alberta. So we do get a little bit of that, maybe closer to that 2 centimeter mark, as you can see on the color graphic there, but nothing too major. It's going to be a rain, snow kind of mix, but there's a 30% chance of that happening. Take a look at their school day forecast for tomorrow, though. 2 degrees at recess time with mostly cloudy skies, and at lunchtime 3 degrees with the sun and cloud mix, and home time 2 degrees as well. Take a look at the next 7 days. 2 degrees on Wednesday, 4 degrees for Thursday, 2 also for Friday, both with cloud and sunshine days. 7 degrees on Saturday, very clear skies. 2 degrees on Sunday with mostly cloudy skies, and 4 degrees on Monday with a sun and cloud mix. That's a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news coming up.
Well, we're back here at Fur Babies, and Karen joins us once again. And we're right in front of some puppies who are passed out. They're a little tired, but they're called Hawaiian pups. Why Hawaiian pups?
Well, when we brought them in on the 3rd of March, our Vice President, Taryn Black, had just returned from Hawaii, and she asked to name them, so she gave them all Hawaiian names.
Now, one's currently at the vet, you mentioned, but let's talk about when these puppies come in, and a little more about the puppies we currently have here in the isolation units.
Okay, as you said, we do have the Hawaiian puppies here. We only have 3 in this isolation unit at the moment. We have one of them in this isolation pen by himself because he just came back from the vet a couple of days ago and he isn't feeling that well. So we didn't want him to get beat up by his siblings, basically, because that was what was happening, because he's weak and he's sick. And then this one is Koi. He also is a Hawaiian litter. But when the previous owner had them, he was the runt of the litter, and all his 7 siblings were beaten up on him. So she took him into her own home. for 3 weeks, and then we got him, and we actually found a foster who fostered him until they were on their way to Wainwright to an adoption event, which had to be canceled because one of our pups did come down with parvo. So.
Well, I mean, cute pups either way, and obviously you can foster these puppies as well. Thank you so much for joining us and letting us come in.
Thank you for coming and introducing Lloydminster to our rescue.
Thank you so much. We'll have a little bit more coming up from here at the Fur Babies' brand new home, but for now, let's head back into the studio.
All right, so with our question of the day today on Facebook, we asked you, what is your favorite cereal?
Well, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of people actually have very strong opinions. There's a mix of Vector cereal, which is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
French Toast Crunch.
Yeah.
Captain Crunch.
See, those are so sugary. I can't eat those. They're so sweet.
Mini
yeah,
Wheats.
I don't know. I can't do it.
Mini Wheats was one.
Mini Wheats are a little better.
Lucky Charms.
Oof.
And, you know, oatmeal. That's another, just a
Yeah.
classic. Shreddies. There's a lot. I mean, I grew up on cereal. I don't have milk in my cereal
Yeah.
because I'm just that person.
Yeah.
I just don't like milk. I think I'm
weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, Honey Nut Cheerios is my favorite go-to cereal. That's about it. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big cereal person.
Yeah, I can see that, honestly.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that today. I was like, Elise is probably not a cereal person.
Yeah, the sugary cereals I can't do. So then, I don't know. I guess Cheerios is the go-to easy.
Fair enough. I'll just eat plain Cheerios. I do that at my desk. I just have like the...
You do, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that knows me, it's, I mean, of course, as you can kind of see in
well,
between
before we even go to the pet of the day,
we have
our own pet of the day here who's just snoozing.
He's chilling.
He's our news dog.
Oh, look at him.
Yeah, look, he's tired.
Oh, he is. Very adorable.
Yeah.
Well, it's time to go. Well, speaking of pets, let's go to the pets of the day because it's a new week and a new chance for your to win a Lloydminster Pet Pad gift card. This is Kyrie, submitted there by Alana, just covered in the mud. Just loving it at the...
Springtime.
Exactly.
Springtime mud.
Up next, we have Rascal, submitted there by Sandy. Just a sleepy kitty there. Next, we have Lucy, sitting in the car seat, submitted there by Kristen. Next, we have Bella, submitted there by Caitlin. Very adorable indeed. And last but not least, this is Max, just sleeping in his little cage, submitted there by Janice. So if your pet was shown on today, you're automatically entered to win a Lloydminster Pet Pad gift card, which you're giving away at the end of the week.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
Joined with Jamie Walker today, the Northwest Prairie Pirates coach, U13. Thank you for joining us today, Jamie.
Well, thanks for having me.
The reason you're in is because you guys are having a fundraiser coming up. So do you want to kind of touch on what that is and what you guys are doing?
Sure. So we have a fundraiser every year. We call it Pirate Night. And this year we not only have the 18U team, but we have the 15U team and the 13U team. Cool. And so we're raising money for 3 groups to kind of operate through the season. So.
Okay, cool. And with that, what are you kind of looking for? What are those specific things that you are fundraising for this year, team specific?
Sure. So we have obviously team apparel, things like that go along with you know, having the guys look good out there, right? Yeah. But you know, for the 18U team, a lot of it is travel. Yeah. We have a big travel schedule, you know, especially with the 18U team. 15U team and 13U team are just getting going. We're new into the Alberta League with those 2 teams, so there's a lot of input costs that we've incurred kind of just starting those 2 teams this year. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with the fundraiser specifically, do you have dates, times, things like that for them?
Yeah, so we do. We've got April 4th at Rolling Greens Pavilion.
Cool.
We've got a comedian coming in there, Kelly Taylor. He's fairly well known around, you know, Alberta and Saskatchewan. He's kind of a sports comedian, real good comedian. And 6 o'clock, doors open. Yep. There's silent auction, live auction, and yeah, we're looking for anybody to come out and support the kids as much as they can.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. And you have said this kind of has expanded over the past couple seasons. What has it meant to you to have to be a part of this team in the community in Lloyd?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Baseball is a passion of mine and a passion of my 2 boys. So to be to be involved in a fundraiser, things like that, which many parents are, you're always willing to throw your hat in the ring and help out. So anything we can do to help out, for sure. Yeah, happy to do it.
And with the fundraiser, maybe they can't come out to the event that night, is there any other ways that people can, if they're looking to help out the teams and things like that financially?
Yep, there is. Yeah, for sure. We've got program sales going on right now. So there's between the 3 teams, we're running about town, businesses and people personally, just to advertise in a program that'll be at every home game we have this year. So the 13U, 15U, and 18U will play roughly, 40 home games this summer at different places in town. So those programs will be out at every event. So it's one of those things, we hope people understand that, it's a fundraiser. Totally. And we're trying to get them something for it. So, absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of a bit of a way we can do that. So,
very cool. Yeah. And on the side note, beside the fundraiser, registrations and stuff like that, if people want to get involved, is that kind of still happening if people want to get involved that way?
Yep, Lloydminster Ball is actually conducting spring training and some evaluations right now, but you can definitely look into Lloydminster Ball on their website and see if there's availability. I know ball's been really popular the last 4 or 5 years in Lloydminster, so I know numbers have steadily been creeping up, and there was a bit of a waiting list last year, and Lloydminster Ball doesn't like to see that. They're an association, so they like to try and fit everybody in if they can.
Yeah.
But yeah, feel free to definitely contact them and see if there's room for somebody to come out and play, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in today, Jamie. We appreciate it. Fundraiser, April 4th. Definitely come out and help the Pirates for this season. So thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
No problem.
Welcome back to Primetime Local News. Josh and Buck got your sports talk here on a Monday. Things slowing down a little bit in this portion of the month, though they pick up again with baseball coming in, lacrosse, spring football. This past weekend, though, a couple of notable championships that were going on, as well as some playoff losses. And just breaking today, actually, Curtis Johnson, the head coach of the Bantam AAA Bobcats boys team, has resigned from his role as head coach.
Yeah, and the month of April is usually when the elite program looks at the coaching staff and sees where they're going to go forward with it. And probably at that time, that's when they reached out to Cujo to see what his future is, and Cujo stepped aside. So it'll be interesting to see if he's stepping aside for another coaching job, or if he's just stepping aside because he has another business on top of it. So, you have work and hockey sometimes don't mix well. So.
Yeah, and he did release a statement, as you can find here on his Twitter account, just saying it was personal reasons, reflecting on family, and as you said, his business as well, Cujo Conditioning. Did a nice job with that program. Went from a last place, basically a winless team, or almost a winless team, to 21-6-6 this season. Got to compete rather at the Alan Reed via an invite, which is not an easy invite to get, as well as competed in a few other big tournaments, and just came up short against a very good team out of Fort Sask this year in the playoffs.
Yeah, had a good run in that playoff. Yeah, they ran against a very good team, but Cujo, more than anything, it's not just the record that he's going to be judged on, it's all the kids graduating and moving on to the midget AAA level. And you've seen such great players come through Cujo, whether it be his off-ice training or his on-ice coaching. You've seen those players advance on in the elite program. So it was great to see what he has done in the Bantam program.
And I'm sure wish him the best. Obviously, he'll do fine with his business, as he has done for a while now. We'll look forward to seeing any other future hockey ventures from him. Moving back to the results portion of the segment, which is going to start with the Lloydminster Comprehensive Barons men's basketball team. They won their regional championship, their first ever Saskatchewan regional championship, after essentially being able to just qualify automatically most years out of the 4A level in this zone. But injury, unfortunately, befell them. Nikita Akubchanov, I think I still mispronounced the name. I keep doing it. Akubchanov, unfortunately, one of their key guys injured, and as a result, they were out their best player. Had a chance in the quarters, but ultimately fell 89-84.
And this is a special player, not just their best player. He's one of the best players that probably on the court, whenever facing anybody, he's the best player for either team. And he's a big guy, but he also has a nice touch from the three-point line. You know what? It's tough when you go forward and you're losing that big piece. I know they battled well, but played against some pretty good teams out of Regina too.
That's true, and I mean, even in their loss in the quarterfinal, Diaz-Legron, another key guy for them on both ends of the floor, but especially on the offensive end, tried to carry the load as much as possible, but they just weren't able to get stops down the stretch and match those three-point baskets from Winston Knoll, ultimately losing as well on the consolation side. One more unfortunate loss, though the season ended with a win, was the PWM Steelers, the AAA Elite Midget Girls team. They do not get to continue their season. They knew it was going to be a challenge against the St. Albert Slash. They also, unfortunately, lost their first game 3-2 against the Calgary Fire, and as a result, won bronze on Sunday.
Whenever you go into a tournament like this, and we saw this with the Rohan Bobcats too, when you go into a round-robin tournament and you have to have strong round-robin games, that first game in the round-robin kind of sets you up for your next two games.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, they lose that first game, and it was uphill battle after that.
And unfortunately, they weren't quite able to climb that hill. But again, ended the season with a win. Obviously, they won the challenge tournament in Winnipeg. Several girls got to play Team Alberta and win gold there. So a very memorable season for the Steelers. Lose a couple of key players, but
the great thing for the Steelers, those key players are going down south, and they got locked up scholarships, and that is what the Steeler program is all about.
Absolutely. And we'll have more on local and pro sports topics next hour on Primetime Local News.